Spider-Man's costume has been redesigned countless times, whether it be for a new movie, a new game, a new run of comics. Spider-Man basically has a new suit in every single new form of media that he appears in. The character has been redesigned dozens and dozens of times, and today I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on some of the kind of most notable Spider-Man redesigns that I found. Starting off with some movie concept art, this concept was from The Amazing Spider-Man 1. This suit looks kind of interesting. It obviously didn't make it very far because the logo is just kind of a pasted on Raimi logo. It has nice big lenses, which is kind of reminiscent of the next movie, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But that's kind of where the positives end. The colors are fairly muddy and it's just a really complex looking suit. Not that complex is necessarily a bad thing, but it's just cut in a lot of very strange ways. Like there's a random cut there on the forearm and then kind of around the hip section. It's not great. I give it about a 5 out of 10. Switching to a different piece of concept art, this one was also for The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Because they were trying to do something so different with this suit, there's a lot of really wacky Spider-Man suit designs, so I wanted to talk about a couple of them. But anyway, this one I think is better than the last. And it kind of looks similar to the one that ended up in the film, if you kind of squint. The colors are a bit nicer on this one, they're not so muddy, and it actually has the gold lenses, which I think are quite a cool feature. However, there is kind of a weird segmenting on the chest. I don't know why they decided to break it up like that. It's almost like they were trying to cut it like abs. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But other than that, I actually think this suit is pretty cool. The spider is a nice kind of gunmetal color with some holes in the middle, but there's just so many lines on it. If you look up close in this concept art, it's just a mess of various cross-hatching and lines, and it's just quite complicated. It's not bad, certainly better than the last, but I'd give it about a 6.5 out of 10. Switching to some of the concept art from the Raimi trilogy, this was a design they were working with early on for the first movie, and I actually really like this one. It actually looks kind of similar to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit, with the very big reflective lenses and almost a grid pattern for the webs. The spider for this one is very interesting because it blends into the chest, which I find quite cool, but I know some people prefer the spider to stand out. I like it either way as long as it works with the costume itself. This one doesn't have very many weird cuts, and it just looks like classic Spider-Man. The red is very pinkish, and the blues are nice and saturated. This is just a really nice Spider-Man redesign, without straying too far from the original source material. The lenses are very angular, kind of reminiscent of the Scarlet Spider, which just look awesome. I give this an 8.5 out of 10. And for our final piece of concept art, I just wanted to cover this one real quick because I thought it was kind of interesting. And while the overall silhouette is good, the webbing on the entire costume is just a bit much for me. But the spider actually stands out a lot and kind of stretches all over his chest, which just looks really cool in my opinion. I just can't get over all the webbing on the whole suit. It looks very complicated and messy and kind of distracting, honestly. In real life, it may have looked better though. I give this one about a 7 out of 10. Alright, let's get into some video games now. This is the Spider-Man costume from the game Midnight Suns. The suit itself is okay. The colors are very classic and vibrant, but the pattern itself is very far from it. It just has so many cuts in the red, which breaks up the design a lot and makes it look kind of, I don't know, like cut up. The lenses are very buggy and kind of make his face look very odd. The web pattern itself is kind of cool, however, it's very recessed and I kind of like that, and it's very reflective as well. I'm also not a big fan of spiders that are segmented, which it has that on the front and back of the costume, which I personally don't really like, but it's an okay suit. The cuts just really throw it off for me too. I give this one a 5 out of 10. Now for the Marvel Rivals suit. This is probably one of the most controversial Spider-Man suits in recent times. And this is probably a hot take, but I actually really like this suit. The lenses are very Ryan Otley-like, and the segmented spider kind of works here for me because it's a lot larger than most other segmented spiders, especially the small ones. I don't really like when a segmented spider is small, but if it's big, it kind of works for me. But obviously the kind of elephant in the room is the paneling. The paneling on the suit is just horrendous. It's really odd. It's got like 15 different color blues and almost like really dark blues on it. And it's got some piping. It just is not a very good look because of how distracting the blue is. It's just a complete mess, honestly. I think that if they had taken a second look at it and gone, okay, maybe if we make it a two-tone blue, kind of like the PS5 Spider-Man, would have looked better. But that being said, I think that overall, I really enjoy a lot of elements about this suit. And so I'll give it about a 6 out of 10. As I'm editing this video, the Marvel Rivals closed beta just came out, and with it, the Spider-Man suit has been heavily redesigned and all of the problems have been fixed. The very disjointed looking boots have now been changed, the paneling is now far cleaner, and the back spider now stands out much more than it did before. I actually made a whole video on my channel where I talk about this design as well as the gameplay for Spider-Man from Marvel Rivals, so if that's something you're interested in, please go and check out that video. The suit is now one of my favorite Spider-Man redesigns because of the fact that it incorporates some of Ryan Ottley's artwork and design choices. And now with the boots being fixed, this suit is now a top tier Spider-Man suit redesign in my opinion. With the fixes, I give this suit a 9 out of 10. Next up, we have probably one of my favorite Spider-Man suit redesigns that they have ever done. The Advanced Suit 2.0. I know a lot of people really like this costume, myself included, and the Advanced Suit 2.0 is a lot better in my opinion than the Advanced Suit 1.0, but that is neither here nor there. I'm here to talk about this suit as a whole. So, the spider itself frames the chest very well in my opinion, the colors pop really well, and it just looks better than the orange on the Advanced Suit 1.0. The lenses are very angular and pointed, which looks very menacing, and I think it really just looks really awesome. And I think that all of the white accents throughout the costume work really well. That being said, as far as colors go, I think that the boots needed some more red, more like classic Spider-Man, just because the blue on the legs does look a little naked without anything to break it up. It's certainly not enough to make me not like the suit. I think this is a wonderful redesign. I love all the paneling on it because it's subtle, but it's still there to give it some visual interest. This is just an incredible redesign, and it is easily one of my favorite Spider-Man suits of all time. This one is a 9 out of 10. Oh, right. This one. Marvel's Avengers was probably played by a total of like 20,000 people maybe, so most people probably aren't even aware that this suit exists. But we're still going to talk about this suit because I think it's kind of interesting. Starting off with the biggest issue of this suit, I think it is the front spider. The front spider's legs are kind of segmented in pairs, which I think looks absolutely awful. It's just really not a good look. The random black bands around the shins and forearms also kind of look odd, although they don't stand out that much, so it's okay. For the colors, I think the red is amazing, and actually the blue looks pretty good, even with the panel lines. I'm not really bothered by panel lines like most people are, but I can see why people don't like panel lines. It does get a little messy at times. Although I will say that the random red on the belt just looks very kind of poor and out of place. It's just not a very good suit. Not a very good suit for a mediocre game. 5 out of 10. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I love to gush about the TASM-1 suit. This, in my opinion, is the best classic suit redesign that they have ever done for Spider-Man. It has dark but saturated colors, an interesting hexagonal texture, gold and blue lenses, A6 shoes which add realism. Like, I cannot say enough good things about this suit. The spiders are segmented, which I know I've complained a bit about segmented spiders in this video. However, I have to say in this case, it's a gorgeous front spider. It frames his chest very well in a similar way that the Advanced Suit 2.0 does, and I think that the reason that the segmenting works for this suit is because the segments are all throughout the spider, not just in one place. Talking a bit about the colors of the suit itself, The red is broken up by the blue in certain areas, but I think it's done very well. And overall, I just think this is a gorgeous Spider-Man suit. I know some people have compared it to a basketball, and I don't really see it. I think it has something to do with the lines on the mask being very symmetrical, whereas typically the lines on Spider-Man's face are actually asymmetrical. But regardless, I think that this is a gorgeous Spider-Man suit redesign, and it is my favorite of the Spider-Man suit redesigns. This is a 9.5 out of 10. Finishing off with the Raimi Trilogy suit, I think this suit is really awesome. However, I am not a Raimi glazer. I'm coming out to say that right now. I am not a Raimi glazer because I didn't grow up with these movies. I got into Spider-Man kind of late in the game. I was about 12 or 13 years old when I first got into Spider-Man, so I was a little older. And so I wasn't as biased towards the Raimi movies. But anyway, putting that aside, this is still one of the best Spider-Man suit redesigns ever. It has angular lenses and silver webbing, which differ heavily from classic Spider-Man art, but it works very well. The lenses, spider, and the webs are all a similar silver color, which means they all kind of match and have a real harmony with each other. The colors are very vibrant and colorful, which makes it still have some of that classic feel. Everything about this suit is pretty much perfect in my opinion. It is an incredible work of art, and I really can see why this is some people's favorite Spider-Man suit, because it is a work of art. This one is a 9 out of 10. So with that, this has been my video where I rate some Spider-Man classic suit redesigns. I might do more of these in the future because this was actually really fun, and as I stated in the video earlier, there are countless Spider-Man redesigns that I could talk about, and I think that there are some really interesting ones out there, and a lot of them are controversial for one reason or another. Some people love them, some people hate them, and I think that's what makes Spider-Man's various redesigns so enjoyable to look at, discuss with other people, and yeah, just start up conversations about the character that we all love so much. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.